Since Australia became a federation in 1901, there have been 44 referendums. 8 of them have passed. That's a pretty high bar, so let's look at what was proposed to the Australian public in the past, and let's do it in reverse. There were 4 referendums held in 1977, of which 3 passed. The first of which was that judges had to retire once they reached 70 years old. The second was that people who lived in territories must be able to vote in constitutional referendums. And the third of which is that Senate vacancies must be filled by members from the same party. Straightforward and simple, right? 10 years earlier, there were 2 referendums held in 1967, one of which passed. And it's probably the one that most people know about. The proposal to allow the federal government to make special laws for Indigenous Australians, and if Indigenous Australians should be included in the census. You'll note that I didn't say that it gave Indigenous Australians the right to vote, because it didn't. That can be credited to the Commonwealth Electoral Act of 1962 and the Act of the same name from 1983. But nevertheless, that referendum passed with 91% of the vote, the highest amount of support of any referendum in Australia's history. In 1946, Australia agreed to allow the Commonwealth to create and control social services. This had the lowest vote out of any referendum that managed to pass at 54%, but it famously led to the creation of Centrelink. In 1928, we voted to allow the Commonwealth to have more control over state debts. In 1910, we voted to allow the Commonwealth to take over state debts. And in 1906, we voted to mandate that Senate and House elections must be held at the same time. Over 44 referendums, those 8 passed. Whether or not they were simple questions or the right thing to do, we've only ever allowed our Constitution to be changed 8 times. Whether or not we should allow a 9th, well, that's up to you. Should the voice join the ranks as a moment of national unity, or should things stay the same? That's up to you. And we'll know the answer that Australia gives this weekend. But for now, stay informed, stay educated, and see what you think. The official cases for yes and no can be found at aec.gov.au.